AZ Hot Topics here. Today's hot topic, let's talk about President Obama and his push for this gun control thing and his executive orders and all that. A lot of you will talk about the Second Amendment, right to bear arms, Constitution, all that stuff. You know, I think I want to take a different angle at this. Let's just let's look at it from a common sense standpoint. I'm going to look at it this way. There's a problem. The problem is resulting in violence. And what it is the violence is being carried out to the public in either a public violence, as in a gun violence, a shooting, some type of public type of violence, and in this case it's using guns as part of their equation, and the result is gun violence. Well, you could also just word it as mass shootings, you could word it as public shootings or public violence, violence against the public. You can word it all kinds of ways. Bottom line is the result is violence. And President Obama is so focused on the gun thing, and the gun is just part of the equation. It's not going to solve the problem. A problem is an equation, and you have different variables that play a role in that equation, and the result ends up being the violence. Well, if you take guns out of the equation, all they're going to do is just put another variable in. And that's the part that scares me. They're going to look at the San Bernardino folks. They had pipe bombs. What kind of gun control would have fixed that? None. Look at the Boston Marathon bombings. That was pressure cookers. Gun control wouldn't have solved that. So gun control is, I guess some would argue, but it would reduce violence. Well, temporarily maybe, but in the long run, it ain't going to do anything, because the problem still exists, folks. And the problem is this. The problem is hateful people. The problem is people who have hate, people who have anger, people who feel that they have been wronged and they need to make things right, people who feel like somebody or group of people or the world is against them. They're people who feel that they're right and you're wrong. They're people that kind of, if it's a cult like a terrorist group, or just individual acts because of bullying or whatever, somehow they have all this frustration and this anger and this hate that's building up inside, and this get even thing, maybe even revenge, and it's just building up inside of them. And some of them may even put it down on the calendar as to a specific dates, but even then it's building up, it's pressuring up so that they would even do that. And all this pressure builds up inside you folks that are parents. You know when your kids are driving you nuts, you just want to go, ah! Well, you have all that frustration that you're trying to release, right? You're trying to let it out, that you're trying to express your frustrations and over your kids. Now, you would be a good parent, because the bad parents would be the ones who would turn to the violence part and hit the kid. So, and believe it or not, I actually put them in the same circle as those who do the mass shootings, just at a different level. But still, it's one of those things that some people just don't know how to express themselves. They don't know how to express their anger. That's why you have something like, well, you guys seen that movie, Anger Management. So a lot of people just have all this anger and stuff built up, and they just got to release. And when they go to release, they don't know how to do it properly. They don't know how to do it non-violently. These are bad people. They want to hurt people. They want to bring harm to you. They're okay with death. And because of that, that's when they turn to going out to the public, and they're okay with killing people. That's how they express themselves. That's how they vent. That's how they release. That's how they just let all that pressure out. And That's the problem. The problem isn't the gun, because they're just going to they're going to say, oh gee, he took my gun away. Well, I guess I just want to express my anger, or I want to express my hate, or my whatever. No, that's bull crap. They're going to say, huh, I'm going to just turn to this pipe bomb. I'm going to turn to this pressure cooker bomb. I'm going to turn to this remote IED. So I'm going to say, just because Obama actually did it, you know, the Sandy Hook thing, and that kid had access to a gun. Now, just imagine this. He didn't have access to a gun. What would he turn to? He still has that anger built up inside. He's still going to have to express himself. What's he going to do? He could actually have set bombs throughout the school, walked 2 blocks away from the school, pressed his cell phone, and the entire school would have blown up. You would have had more death and more damage. Why? Because he couldn't have turned to guns. He had to go to something else. He still had that anger built up inside. He still had to release it. And that's the part that I'm afraid of. That this whole push for this whole gun control thing, all it's going to do is it's just going to channel people's to bring in a different variable to their equation, and the result is still going to be violence. The only problem now is you're going to have more death and more damage. And you know, unless, I don't know. It just, to me, it just doesn't sound like a logical sense to go to take guns out of the equation. Now, maybe on someone who's not thinking about how to solve a problem thinks, oh, well, gee, I took it out, I've done it, I've solved the problem. Well, no, you haven't. You don't know how to solve problems, obviously, because the problem still exists. Now, what's the answer to that problem? Well, that's in another video. I'm not going to talk about that, because I could talk forever about that. But the bottom line is, and this video is just basically in response to President Obama and his whole push for gun control and the executive order stuff. It ain't going to solve the problem, folks. Learn how to solve problems and realize that the problem is not the gun. That's just part of the equation. That's just a variable to the equation. And they're just going to turn to something more deadly, more dangerous, and you're going to regret that you did the gun thing. So I'm not saying let's give them guns so they can commit their stuff. What I'm just saying is gun control is just not the answer. There's a better way. Use your noggin. Figure it out. You guys just, some of you politicians, well, you all have degrees. Figure it out, folks. Guns ain't the problem. Jeff AZ, Hot Topics. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. And, wow, there's more of this to come, isn't there? You gotta stay tuned. I'm out!